loves, it's Jessica with the King of Horrors Stephen King tag. I created this tag because ever since my trip to Bangor, Maine for my birthday, I had Stephen King on the brain. It's a list of 18 questions, so let's get on to it. How did you get into reading Stephen King? In high school, I started reading Stephen King because I heard he's such a talented author. So I picked up some books of his, and I've been hooked ever since. What was the first Stephen King book you read? My first Stephen King book was Misery. After seeing the movie, I knew I had to read the book. Have you read a Stephen King book published from the year you were born? As for the year I was born, I don't think Stephen King published a book. However, a year before I was born, which is 1974, Carrie was published. And that shows how old I am. Which of his books do you prefer to collect? Hardcover editions, paperbacks, or it doesn't matter to you? It doesn't matter to me whether it's paperback or hardcover. How many of his books are on your bookshelf? I have a total of 25 of his books on my bookshelf. That's not even half his books. Stephen King is known for his long and gory novels. Which of his novels was tough for you to read? I remember reading over 20 years ago, Bag of Bones. It was tough for me to read because it was over 700 pages long, but I managed to pull through it and I enjoyed the book. Have you DNF'd a Stephen King book? Most of you all know that follow my channel, I don't DNF books, especially Stephen King. Have you read his books in publication order? I haven't read his books in the order they were published. What Stephen King books would you like to read but haven't read yet? I would love to read Salem's Lot and Pet Sematary. Name a book he has written that other people liked but you didn't. I know that this is going to vary from person to person, but I didn't like The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I felt like he had to rush to finish the book and get it published. Name a book of his you think is underrated. In my personal opinion, it's Gerald's Game. I found it to be very intense. Creepy characters. Which Stephen King characters would you like to have dinner with? I would like to name two characters. Annie Wilkes from Misery and Carrie Waite from Carrie. I think we would have some very interesting conversations. Has Stephen King inspired you to start reading and writing? As for reading, he didn't get me into reading. As for writing, he did play a little bit of a role in getting me to writing, especially after reading On Writing. If you were able to meet Stephen King, what would you say? I haven't met Stephen King, but if I were to meet him, I would ask for some writing advice. Have you ever been to Bangor, Maine? This past summer, I had the pleasure of visiting Bangor, Maine, again for my birthday. I took the Stephen King tour. There's some videos here on my channel if you're interested in checking them out. I also learned some very interesting stuff about Stephen King. When he and his family were poor and he was a struggling writer, his friends, neighbors, and colleagues helped him out. And now that he's a huge writer, he gives back to the community. And I think he's a good-hearted guy. Which do you prefer more, his books or movies? I prefer his books more because I think they are more detailed. Name your favorite Stephen King movies. I will list mine in order. Carrie, Misery, and The Shining. I'm going to tag some people. I'm going to tag a bunch of people because I really want this tag to get out there. The one and only A.J. Dunn reads and writes. Ollie from Criminally. Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. Sue Jackson. Emily at Dark Violet Dreams, Summer at Sterling Reads, Sins from Sin's Book Nook, Wendy at Book It with Wendy, Zach Shady Side Library, David Reads King, Elizabeth from Reading Riley, Cliff Stark Gems, Caitlin from Bandy's Books, Flo from the Grape Jelly Library, Jessica at Bad as Red, Celeste at Bookbound Weirdo, Joe and Mary from Book Buds, E.D. Lewis at E.D. Lewis Reviews, and Chris at Chris Book Reviews. And if you're tagged and love Stephen King, I want you to do this tag. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Bye, bookworms.